Bam, we're live. Just like that. Emily Lowe, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming on. One of the OGest of OGs. You're coming up strong on 7 years at the gym, right?
Yep.
So 2015, you started in 2015. I've been dealing with you since 2015.
Yeah, a few days a week at least.
Yeah, that's right.
So
I'm really excited for our conversation because I like to pretend that I know what you do.
Okay.
I like to pretend that I have a good understanding of the whole real estate world.
Okay.
But this is going to be so selfish for me to get a better, clearer picture of how all of it works together.
Mm-hmm.
And I know for certain it's going to be very valuable for others listening because they will understand like how you can help them and what your role is.
Yeah.
So on that note, I'm just diving in deep, but I think we should do that because you have a really cool story. Recently, you've taken a leap.
Yeah.
So let's start there. What is your most recent life leap? What have you done?
I switched from a W-2 position managing a real estate title company in New Albany, and I switched over to 1099. So I'm back in sales, back to pounding the pavement. So I have been doing financing and title for real estate pretty much ever since I graduated high school. Started off as a loan officer, shifted into title. So most of my time was spent in sales, networking with realtors, loan officers, anybody that would be involved in the transfer of real estate. So estate planners, divorce attorneys, funeral home directors. I spent a good chunk of my career building a book of business, and it's almost like you are a professional friend, because the Columbus market is saturated with title companies, and we're like the bottom feeders in real estate. So we have to be involved by force, but if people could choose to not have title companies involved, then they'd skip the process because sometimes it can result in delaying your closing, whether you're refinancing your mortgage or you're closing on a new purchase. So I was managing a company. I let go of a lot of my relationships to do that and have that secure income, which is important to me because I'm a single mom. So I kind of needed that safety net during the just that season of life that I was in, and it was good for me. But I am wired to interact with people and to educate people and to I just like to communicate, and that was my favorite part of my job is after you get the file closed, you go to the closing. You've worked so hard throughout the process with these people. You finally get to meet them at the end. All the warm, fuzzy feelings, it's very rewarding because it can be a very stressful, time restraining position sometimes. So I'm back to square one. I partnered up with a local attorney who is in Upper Arlington. So my office is in Upper Arlington, but I am rarely there. So I am mostly working out of my car, doing closings, working from home, pretty much wherever. And I'm back to building relationships again because from just being in that office and processing files and not being able to be out in front of people and be that professional friend that they're used to, they found somebody else to work with, some of them. So I'm back to either trying to gain rapport with them, or in the meantime, pick up some new agents, loan officers.
Gotcha.
In the meantime,
I'm gonna take a couple notes here.
Yeah.
And just anytime I pick up my phone, all I'm doing is taking notes because I'm so wickedly ADD, and I've just got questions to ask you. So excuse me for a second. nothing kills a good flow of a conversation like me taking notes. But seriously, you're saying so many great things that I want to dig in on. So, what was the catalyst to this move? I think you're alluding to it a little bit, but it sounded like there was, correct me if I'm wrong, like more security just a couple months ago before this new transition. But what was why? What was the catalyst?
I felt if I'm just being real, I felt the life being sucked out of me every single day I would have to go into that office. And there are different types of title work that can be done. Okay, so if you have A+ credit and you can go anywhere and get a loan, and then you can have subprime credit, subprime credit, yes, and then you struggle with your financing. Well, you can have clean title or you can have subprime title. And a lot of the pipeline from the sales rep that I was working with had some subprime title in it. And it's just very stressful to deal with day in and day out. Right. So
just like hoops to jump through and stuff. Is that right? Or
yeah, lien. So if I do a title search on the property, and clean title would be, I do a search on the property, Jane and Bill are in title, and they have one mortgage reporting and taxes are current. Okay. Subprime title would be, we have Mary Jo and John Smith and they're married. And then we have Sam and Kurt and they have spouses. And then this person passed away. So then their interest goes over here, right? And then there could be a tax lien filed against it that you have to get verification if it is or is not the party that's involved in your transaction. So if I do a search, if you're buying 123 Main Street and the buyer's name is Bill Smith, and we do a search, and every lien or judgment that is filed in that county against Bill Smith is going to come back in my search. So then I have to go through and I have to rule out if it's our Bill Smith or not, because if it is, that lien or judgment has to be paid off at closing before that property can transfer to the new buyer.
So you're just talking like hoops to jump through, red tape, variables, money,
all of the
time,
right? And then you're under this very strict timetable, especially in today's market. If you even go back, say 8 months ago, right, when people are putting in offers on homes that they've never even been inside of before, and it's a curb offer, and then they're offering above asking price, agreeing to bring cash to the table if the appraisal doesn't come in where it needs to. So it's a very emotional transaction for people, and you mix that with time frames, and then you need everybody's cooperation, right? And I can't do my job if this person doesn't give me this information. So it's just a lot of chasing down, right? To where now I only deal with my files, and it is so refreshing, right? I value the agents and the loan officers that I work with so much because there's so much on my team. It does not feel like I necessarily work for them, but we're just working together for the same, end goal, which is let's make the experience for the buyer, seller enjoyable, stress-free,
awesome,
and get it closed.
So cool. Someone listening to this is like, man, I've been in a similar place, and you can plug in any whatever industry, relationship, like that is just feels like you're swimming upstream and that the wind is at your face. And what's really cool about what you're describing is like the things that don't fill your cup, like that would fall on, like now after your experiences would like land on your loathe list, those land on somebody else's love list. Like that's what gets them out of bed in the morning. They like problem solving those type of problems, whatever. Let them do that thing where like you double down on the thing that you love, do it the best you can because it's the thing you love. Like that's inspiring. That's awesome. And just a really good testament to that message.
Yeah.
So To bring that question full circle, like, so the catalyst was life sucking. There was
Mhm.
life sucking taking
I
place.
just didn't have any flexibility, right? I'm a
Mm,
single mom. I needed flexibility with my kids. I was being too dependent upon others in my life to fill my parental duties to, and it's my standards that I have for myself, right? And so I dealt with it for as long as I could. I'm very prideful. The company was kind of a startup branch here in Ohio because the main office is in Baltimore, Maryland,
okay.
right? So I didn't want to fail. I don't like to fail. I'm very stubborn and hard-headed, and I wanted to make something of this company, but I had little control, and eventually I just exhausted all my efforts to where I knew that I wasn't doing them any justice being there
Mm.
either, and it was good for both of us to kind of part ways and them have a fresh start here, me have a fresh start over here, at the new place. So,
The first time I ever heard somebody share that message in a very literal way, but I've always used it as an analogy in my head, was Jake Taylor.
mhm,
And I was telling him I was reading a book, and I was like, I'm just not getting into it. Like, I've given it like a few chapters. I'm just not enjoying it. He said, stop reading it. I was like, no, like I started it. He's like, if you're not enjoying it, he's like, do you understand how many millions of books there are? I'm like, yeah, probably. He's like, well, you're never going to be able to read every book. I was like, no. He's like, do you think there's some other good books out there? I was like, yeah, probably. Like, well, then you should stop reading the book. And that's gap theory. It's why we start and finish crappy movies.
mhm,
So good on you. And then that's the tricky thing too, is because then you go into this vicious cycle of like, am I quitting?
mhm,
Like, is this just a rough patch? And I
mhm,
think that there's so much value in seeing through rough patches and
mhm.
like pressing through.
Yeah,
But if you've pressed through a dozen and it not only doesn't get better, but it gets worse
mhm.
internally, like it's time to make a freaking change. And that's scary. And you did that.
So
So like,
scary.
awesome, dude.
Yeah.
So what has been like the biggest W so far? Like, what's the biggest win? Um, Not only professionally, like a closing, but like for you, like
My
thus
sleep.
far. Oh, cool.
Like,
How so?
I can sleep now. Like, I was so stressed out and so anxious at my previous, place of employment that I would be so anxious I could not sleep. Like, I would lay awake, I would take, maybe melatonin or and, like, Tylenol PM, something to assist, and then it was everything felt so forced, right? If I this is such a big part of my life, working out, right? It is way more than the physical appearance, the aesthetics
Mm.
of it. It is completely mental for me at this point, okay? And I was a 4:15, since I've been here, and that forced me into the 5:45 AM class. If I wanted to work out, I had to go at 5:45 AM, right? That is very hard to stay consistent with when you do not get good sleep. You guys know, you're new parents, right?
I was going to say, and then you throw the
So,
other things into the mix,
yeah,
the
yeah,
other
so
irons
you're
in the
not
fire.
getting this outlet that you need to relieve your stress because you're not sleeping. So it's just like a vicious cycle that I couldn't get out of, So I would say if I had to take anything away from it, it would definitely be my quality of sleep. And then from there, that has improved literally everything else.
Oh
My
man,
mood, my my work ethic, my workouts, my eating habits,
how
everything.
quickly was the sleep change? Was it like boom, or did it take a couple weeks to get like, because you had conditioned yourself?
Yeah. No, I'm gonna say it probably took a few months
Mm.
because then I was like I was like anxious about the move, right? So and I am a very loyal, committed person, like to a fault. And so I felt awful. I was a key employee over there, right? And so I left them in a very bad position leaving. And so that weighed very heavy on me. And so I would say a few months, and now it's great. And I choose to still get up at 5:40, well,
Yeah.
to come to the 5:45 AM. And it's easier to get to because I'm making a choice to come to it and somebody's not telling me, not that they were telling me, but like this is the only time you can do it because you're locked at a desk from 9 to who knows how long, which I wasn't used to ever. I had always flexibility in my schedule, never set hours.
So one of the questions, hopefully I remember to ask this. One of the questions that I like to ask often, because I'm very genuinely interested in the answer, is like, what does success look like to you? So we'll come back to that. I'll, like, yeah, like take notes, make you
Okay.
answer. But like Courtney and I, as a family, our definition of success is freedom of time, money, choice. And it doesn't mean that you have unlimited time. It doesn't mean that you have unlimited money. And it certainly doesn't mean, I guess you have unlimited choices, right? But the freedom and the flexibility
Mm-hmm.
of time, money, choice. And you nailed it. Like, man, when you are like forced, like back against the wall to do something, your only option is 5:45 and you're barely squeaking in. And then you throw in the fact that like you're not getting sleep. And as soon as you spring out of class, you got to go be mom. Man, it's just tough to enjoy some things. And sometimes you just got to like take it on the chin for a little bit, which you did so well. But gosh, it's got to feel good to be on the other side of that.
It does.
Not that it's all sunshine and rainbows. And I think that's the big punchline too, is like, it's not like there's not struggle and not scary things. Like, so what are some of the big challenges right now? Like,
well, the market has shifted quite a bit since I initially decided to make that move over to the new company. So interest rates have gone up, and inventory is still fairly slim. So my units that I was getting from each client has decreased. So now I'm having to try to prospect and supplement with some new business just to equate to the amount of business I had when I initially made the decision to come over here. So I would say I'm hearing that it's going to balance out at about, around Christmas time. Rates are going to dip a little bit. So that's what our underwriter is telling us, at least. So yeah.
For sure. So let's do this. I have 1,000 questions about you and your growth. I want to pause for 1 second before we go too deep, because what I think this is a good opportunity. Tell me, who is your client? And then I have like a follow-up question. Like I'll let you answer that. Who is your client?
Yeah, right now my prime client is any realtor who has a for sale sign in the yard. Okay, because my business is not direct to consumer. Nobody knows what a title company is. So essentially, because the seller is responsible for offering a title policy to the buyer, the seller pays for it in the contract, the seller gets to choose the title company. The seller doesn't usually know, so they trust their agent, and their agent directs title most of the time. So my client is the listing agent, or a loan officer at a bank or a mortgage company or a brokerage. Those are my two main
relationships,
that I go after. Yeah.
Got it. Sweet. Okay. So I'm gonna ask you a big question in a second. So I'm gonna put you on the spot. But so if I'm a real estate agent, like primarily, and like I'm looking for someone in your position, like you are who I contact, right? So also, so because like you're talking to all the members of the tribe now, right? So let's say 5% of them sell their house this year. What do they do? If they're like, okay, there's no one that I trust more than someone who either gets up before work and comes to choose difficult things, or comes after work. So I trust her work ethic. I want to use her. What does a seller do? Like, what is to connect with you?
Yeah. So if the seller does not have a relationship with a realtor, most everybody knows a realtor these days, right? If they don't have a realtor, I can refer them to one. If they do have one, then you just tell your realtor, like, hey, I have a relationship with a friend. She runs a title agency, and I have title taken care of. Here's her information, right?
Sweet.
And then that's all you do.
Awesome. I wanted to make sure that I took the opportunity to do that, and I always blow this one too.
Yeah.
Okay. How does someone contact you? People usually do this at like the end of a podcast, but
Yeah.
I blow it every time. What is the best way to contact you?
Honestly, text message.
Sweet. How, like,
Yeah.
and I'll throw it in the show notes, but what number should someone text you
Yeah.
at to generate business?
Yeah, please text me at 614-989-4846.
Beautiful. Most people, you can rewind that if you need it. Most people are like, don't ever get my phone number out.
Please.
But this is how, like,
Please,
this
please.
is I love it.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to take it there.
So awesome. All right. Back to you. You used the term multiple times. What did you say? Professional friends?
Yeah.
Is that it? How do you do with like, okay, you just sent your phone number out, right? How do you do with like work? Yeah, hate it. Work-life balance. I think
don't.
it's like how do you, like, what does that mean?
I try to be accommodating and available all the time. Doesn't mean that I'm going to be able to fulfill your request immediately. But I definitely am going to answer my phone, text you back, email you back, let you know, got your text message, hear you, got your voicemail, email,
Sure.
and I'm gonna let you know when I can turn your request around, right?
Cool. Like setting the expectation,
Yeah.
setting the toner from the start. That's awesome. I see. This is why I take notes, because I didn't want to forget what I was going to ask you.
But pretty much all the time, right? Like there is no and that's what I like to tell everybody that I work with. I don't work traditional business hours. Somebody who I'm working with might, right? So some days from 9 to 4, I might feel unemployed because all my files are processed and I don't have any closings. But then in the evening, I might have 3 or 4 phone calls coming through. To me, that's balance, right? Like I got to do stuff during the day. I felt a little bit off, and then in the evening, I have to be on when people need me.
How have you, what has been like the thing that stands out the most since the transition that you've been able to capitalize on, like that flexibility and freedom? Like there's got to be some
the
cool
ease
stuff.
of doing business. Okay. The not having the red tape, having the trust of an attorney right here to review my files. Only one person, me or him, are going to work on your files. That's the only person you're going to communicate with, me or him. That's a huge win, because previously it was several different people touching the file, reviewing the file. They didn't have a local presence here, so they had to trust us a lot, right? And rightfully so, there was a little bit of hesitation in certain situations. The big difference is here, the people I'm doing business with, Josh, our attorney, he knows them personally. He knows who I'm talking about, right? When I say Joe Smith at Century 21, he knows who that is. That makes a difference, because not every real estate transaction is the same. You can't make it an assembly line and just like touch and go.
Sure.
You have to be really checked in, and every file is different. So it's much less complicated over here, flows much more streamlined, I would say.
Sweet. Ease of business.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So here was the big question I was going to ask you, and we've talked about this a little bit, but like, you talked about, like, you know, most people know a real estate agent, and so like maybe most real estate agents know the title company that they work with. I'm like still out of breath from the workout. I'm still trying to come back. What is it that sets you apart? Like, if I am a real estate agent, why am I picking up the phone and calling you? And you've alluded to this a little bit already, and I'd be happy to speak to it too, by the way, because I think you're a great person.
Thank you.
What is it? What's your it factor?
I think I am a very caring and compassionate person, and so I get emotionally invested in my transactions. Okay, so I want to build relationships with everybody involved, the buyer, the seller, the loan officer, both realtors. You only speak to me, right? So one person to contact. I do everything on the file from beginning to end. If I don't do it, Josh does, right? So it's not repeating information. We are very competitively priced, I would say, in the market. I will close anytime, anywhere, weekends, evenings. And I would say I put literally every ounce of my being into anything that I do, sometimes to a fault. And I take a lot of pride in my work, and my reputation in the industry is very important to me. So I don't want to drop the ball, and I have a lot more control of that over here with Josh. So
Cool.
yeah.
We've talked at length about the concept of like how you do anything is how you do everything, and that can easily be nothing more than BS words on a poster, unless like, because like action speaks so much louder than words.
Yeah.
But I said a couple minutes ago like that I can speak to that. I won't speak outside of my scope, because myself and my team, like all we have is this little corner of your life. But actually, the fact of the matter is, it's not just a little corner of your life; it's a big part of your life, and we can talk about that. But there's truth. There's complete and utter truth in everything that you just said, and not to be like a tap the vein CrossFitter and a geek about, but like if you've never done something like what we do and what you do every day on the training floor, then one, I encourage you to, and also you can't quite wrap your mind around how many times, and whether it's a 5, 10, 15, 20-minute period of time that you want to quit.
Yeah.
Like before it starts, right after it starts, when you're a little bit into it.
Before you even get here.
You're like, oh, I don't want to do this today. And then of course it's every single time, 100% of the time, you're better for it. 100% of the time. But the point that I'm getting at here is like, it takes a special person to lean into that crap and knowing that there's something better on the other side. So I will get off of my soapbox, but my point is that I'm not here to like sell you in your business, but I can speak to that, and I can tell you I've watched it consistently for 7 years, that there is 100% complete and utter truth to what you're saying. So that is you, that is the person that you are. So
thank you.
that's phenomenal and true. Now I lost my complete no, what I want to do then is where does this blend? Because your Instagram handle is what? Fit 4
title.
Fit number 4.
Yeah.
Title.
Yeah.
So where does this all come together? Like what is this? So when I say this, by the way, like we're here shooting this at the gym. How does this all, where does this all come together in your life? And what does it mean?
Well, I think it's safe to say that things have started to shift in the world. People are working out of their homes more often. Big part of my job before, a few years ago is I'd get in the car in the morning and I'd pound the pavement, right? I'd go hit up this office and go see people at this bank. And well, nobody's in there anymore. Okay. So if I am hungry for new business, how do I get in front of people, and how do I show them that I am a title rep when nobody knows what a title rep is, and a title rep is boring, right? So I can't showcase my job. I could sit here and record a phone call about trying to be a bulldog, getting a payoff on a judgment, right? Like that's important to be able to be firm and aggressive and, get what you need. But that's, so how do I showcase my work ethic? And if I, put this much work into this, pretty much how I would like to say I do every area of my life. So I've been trying to come up with like little like posts to incorporate the two, right? To make it about fitness and to make it about my business. And so I'm fit for title. And
So I
yeah.
think I asked you a couple weeks ago, I was like, okay, so where'd you get it?
Hmm.
Like, where'd you get the idea? And you're like, what are you talking about? I was like, well, you're obviously like, that's so perfect. It's like, now in hindsight, that's insulting as hell because you're like,
Thanks a lot. You have no
you
faith in me.
you had to get this idea from somebody else.
You're not even that smart, Will.
That's not what I was saying.
Not creative at all.
My point was like, duh. And also, how is this handle available? And like, it makes perfect sense. And it's you saying everything that I was trying to say a second ago better, that like, when you do this difficult thing, how you do it out here on the training floor, like it translates to everything. Like if you cut corners in your workout, you're going to cut corners at work and win your relationships, and
everything.
you're freaking nailing it, dude. It's brilliant, and it tells the story. It's authentic and genuine. So like, yeah, I was just excited, but I'm pretty sure I insulted you.
Your mind moves different ways when you shift to commission, right? Like you got to eat, so you're like, okay, what can I do? And it's, like, and sometimes I struggle a lot with what everybody thinks about me, right? Like I don't ever want to come across as vain or look at me type of thing, right? Like I love the fact that we are such a group here, and like, so that was like a hard pill for me to swallow and to get over. But I would say, even just going back and touching on like what success looks like for me, the fact that I have kind of let go of a lot of like insecurities that I have had since I was a child, probably, right? That I didn't even really know how to process until just recently. Um, Letting go of that and just not chasing after what I think happiness looks like for me. As corny as that sounds, right? Like to me, it always looked like marriage, family, house, togetherness, a team, right? So coming to the realization that like that's not my life right now, and I am missing out on a lot of good moments because I'm just waiting for this other thing to happen, to where when I just started, I gave up on it, right? It's like, check your own boxes, Emily. If you're constantly like making food for him and dropping this off and this water, like maybe you do those little things for you. It sounds so crazy. And then I started doing it. And this is, if we're really opening up the book, like this is the first time I've been single for this long ever, and I feel like I'm in the best place in my life with my career, my personal life, my parenting, like all of my relationships. I was trying to get my boxes checked in all the wrong ways, and all the relationships were already right here and very prevalent in my life. And it just took me, you know, going through a few really majorly failed relationships to finally just be like, okay, I need to stop because that's not going to bring me happiness. I got to be happy on my own for a while. And you think you are, but then are you? Because I really wasn't.
Congratulations and good for you, because how many people don't choose to think about it? Think about it and don't do anything about it. And just ride it out.
And like, you have to be self-aware
that's
to do that,
for sure.
You got to realize like there's things that I need to grow upon that got me to the situations that I'm in today, right? I have to take accountability for the actions that got me here, good and bad. So just trying to like be a better person all around, be true to myself and my core values, and not force anything, not business relationships, not personal relationships. I finally feel I finally feel worthy, right? To where I think before, like I went after relationships that, maybe didn't do the best for me because that's what I thought all I deserved, you know, to where takes a minute to realize like you actually do bring something to the table and sit back and one day somebody's going to realize it.
Good
and
on
if
you.
not, you know.
I'm putting all the pieces together of what you're saying. I just had a conversation recently about, and like specifically on the topic of like what other people think about you.
Yeah.
And it's so funny that I don't think that this is a topic that's talked about near as often as it's true. Okay. So the conversation I was having is like, I think every single person has that same feeling that they're concerned with like what the people immediately around them, like how they're perceiving them, maybe for a multitude of reasons. And in that same vein, every single person wants to be is accepted by the people that they choose, like that they want to be accepted by. Like when people say like, well, I don't give a crap about what anybody thinks.
Bull crap.
Fake news. That is absolutely not true. What hopefully the truth is that you don't give a crap about what like most people think about you or whatever, but like there's people like you care what the people that you care about think about you.
Exactly.
And that's okay. And that's a good thing. So I think that's the thing that we strive, that we should maybe want to be striving for is to be accepted and viewed well by the people that we actually care about what they think. Like that's the goal. And when we're missing and we're beating ourselves up for missing that mark, it's because we're looking for that approval from outside that circle. Been there, exhausting, impossible, and toxic for you and everybody like that circle that does really matter around you. So I guess this is a good opportunity to tell you this. I was just gonna wait till the end to tell you this because you've brought it up a couple times. Like what you've described in this transition in this chapter of your life, it's so apparent and evident to everyone around you. So like, it's been a topic in our team.
It feels so weird.
It's really awesome to watch.
Thank you.
And not that like there was like this big dark cloud. I mean, maybe you felt that way, right?
There really was.
But that's absolutely like, that's not how you are perceived. My point is just like our team has worked with you very closely for such a long period of time. We get to sit around the table like when we're talking about our members and like and action plans and like where everybody is at mentally, physically, and we get to go, yeah, hey, Emily Lowe, like she's doing this and climbing. But anybody just listening, like we're pointing up, we're climbing since this choice, like since this change and this transition. So it's apparent. And I think that the kindest compliment anybody could ever give you is like, hey, you look happy. Like, hey, you seem happy. And that's real. So
yeah,
you seem happy.
Thank you.
I'm happy for you.
Thank
It's
you.
awesome. I'm just making sure, because I took a ton of notes while you were talking. This is a good one. I actually thought I wanted to ask this before you came on. There's a lot of moving parts, and you've talked about flexibility now. When I say moving parts, primarily mom, but you're getting your workouts in. I think sometimes more than the workout in the gym. You're probably getting some runs in and stuff. I think I've seen you while Nicholas is working out, like running outside. Like actionably and in a tactical way, like, or tactile way, like how are you fitting it all in? Like what actions, what habits, that's the word I'm looking for. Good Lord. What habits do you practice that makes this work that might help somebody else?
I wish I could tell you, because honestly, I feel like I'm chasing my tail most days.
Like I'm not fit for this stuff.
Really. So I just try to make use of my time. I try to have good time management, like if I'm here at the gym and I'm waiting for Nicholas to finish his workout, then I'm going to do something while I'm waiting. I'm not going to just sit here. I'm either going to work out, I'm going to catch up on my emails, I'm going to go to the grocery store. So I just, try to make use of the time that I have. I'm in my car working a lot. So I'm going to be the first one to tell you women are terrible drivers. Okay. So we need like an identification on our license plate, a flag, something, our own lane.
Now, if I said that, I get
You
crucified.
would for
but
sure, but
that's
I'm a
okay.
woman. I'm allowed to say that. So, like even driving, I'm ordering payoffs. I'm just trying to be useful, make contacts, updates with, on files with realtors, sellers, collect information. And then I get a lot of support from my parents, thankfully, right? Like my
Awesome.
parents are right down the road. They help me out so much with running the kids around, especially during the school year. Um, so yeah, it's and you just I don't know, you just find a way, right? Like you just do it, just like you guys, you run on fumes and you just make stuff happen.
There are times where I'm like, I get in my head and I'm writing, and I'm like, man, like I'm worn down, like I'm tired. And sometimes it's really, really true, and you should listen to that. And uh actually, no. Like oftentimes that's the truth, and you should listen to that. Okay. I think where I know I've gone wrong with the weak voices, and where I know for sure general population goes wrong, is like that self-care that you need
Mm-hmm.
could likely be accomplished by a 30-minute walk.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
So like go ahead and go take that 30-minute walk,
Mm-hmm.
and then like get back to the work that you were put on this earth to do. Um and you it just sounds like you're doing a great job of that. So like I think we can have a plan.
Mm-hmm.
We can have it all mapped out, our days and everything, and then what Parkinson's law, like there's going to be a curveball thrown into
Yeah.
the plan, but you had a plan to lean on. But the point is like problem solvers just take action and just keep moving.
Yeah.
And that's okay. And it's okay to press pause, and it's okay to take a walk. And it's okay to go, whatever you guys do, go get your nails done. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're a doer. Like
that's what I was going to say. I think some people are wired and they're doers, right? And I don't like to have downtime. I like to stay busy. So I don't know how to even I could take a walk, right? But people are like, "What shows are you watching?" Or sit down. I'm like, "What?" Like when I'm home, I'm wiping off the counter. I don't sit down, So that is something that I think I really could work on.
Hey, what do you do for fun? Speaking of that, like, how are you going to work on that? Like, what do you do when you're not working or not wiping counters?
Well, I hang out with my friends, right? Which are mostly here from the gym.
I think
So
that's a good sign.
yeah. So I'll hang out with my friends. I'm taking the kids to do stuff all the time. So, most of the time I feel like an Uber driver as well because I'm, taking them here and there. And
Yeah, except you don't get paid.
I know,
to do it.
no. And I try to crash their little parties as much as they'll let me, their get-togethers, the movies, the batting cages, stuff like that. But yeah, I mean,
That's good.
that's it. Yeah,
That
it's
sounds like
just
a very full life. That's a
yeah.
good thing. That's awesome. So like, what's next? What do you have your what do you have your eyes set on? What's on your radar?
I am working with Caitlin Bales to kind of start to brand myself because the cool thing about this title company that I'm with now is there's just 3 people in the company. Josh is an attorney. He has his own pipeline of business. Me and another lady. Josh assists with our pipelines, but it's his company. So the CEBA, CEBA, is the initials of his children. So when I came to him and I said, Josh, I need some hats. He said, well, you're not going to brand CEBA, like brand yourself. I'm like, and it took a minute for it to click to me. I'm like, what do you mean brand myself? It's your company. I work for you. He's like, no, you work with me. You work under my license. Brand yours. So anyways,
that's so cool.
Fit for title, right? That's where it came from. So Caitlin's working up a logo for me, and I'm excited about that to kind of launch it and get some apparel. And I'm going to just grind through this busy season while I can and hope that rates drop and I can clean up with some refinance business and,
awesome.
Just keep grinding. That's it. Like I enjoy the chase in the adrenaline rush. I live for goals, right? I want to just crush them, really. So I like expensive things, and clearly I have to afford the lifestyle on my own. So I got to make more money.
I love it. All right. Hey, what before we roll, this can be, I want you to take the, obviously it's your question. Like I want you to take it however you want. It can be about your career, because there's been recent changes and path alteration. It can be in regards to the gym and if, like, whatever this means to you. But like, if somebody is currently in the shoes that you were in, what let's go here, let's do this, 1 year ago, what advice do you have for them? Because I think you've learned a lot in the last year.
Yeah.
What do you tell that person if they're listening to your story and they're like, man, I identify with that, I feel that? What do you tell that person?
I guess just that your peace is worth more, right? There are so many different ways today to make a livelihood, and you don't have to stay at a place where you feel however you feel, underappreciated, overworked. You know, there are other opportunities out there. Just don't be lazy and go find one. You know,
Awesome.
like sometimes, especially in this industry, we joke around because it's like everyone's like, oh, the business, there's no business. It's like, there is business. You've just become so lazy because you're so used to it coming to you that you don't remember how to go get it. Go get it. Go find it. 80% of the population here is realtors, right? So I'm going to be successful. I just have to work for it.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Like, I think what is step one is probably like stand up, and step two is reach out and go do that. I just commented on Donna Hosey's post, phenomenal bright spot. Literally exactly why we do Bright Spot Fridays. Because sometimes they're hard to see, man. And her mindset shift. I said, so have you read Rich Dad Poor Dad by chance?
No.
I didn't love it. Like I didn't absolutely, but there's a couple good takeaways. And one of the biggest ones was, so the premise is like, his like real dad is poor dad, and then his rich dad is his friend's dad growing up. And the mindset was, so his real dad, poor dad, was just, we can't afford it. We can't afford it. We can't afford it. And the rich dad's mindset, who happened to actually be wealthy, but never by accident, the mindset was, how can we afford that? And that can be applied to, so in Donna's case, she had talked about, it was a certain movement, and Donna, forgive me for forgetting the exact movement we were talking about, but her mindset was the important part. She said, like, previously it was just like, I can't do that. And now it's like, how am I going to do this? Yeah. Oh my gosh. It's like, that's so cool. So kind of just bringing all of that together. Sweet. Well, one more time, Instagram handle is at, obviously, fit, FIT, the number 4 title. And then if someone wants to connect with you, whether that is a seller who maybe doesn't yet have a real estate agent to list their home, or they do and they want to bring their own title agency to the, I'm nailing it.
Yeah, you are.
You're
an expert.
Fire, dude.
You want a job?
No, ma'am. I can't do anything else. If I file one more LLC in my name, my wife is gonna kill me. So how do they get a hold of you? They call you or text you, and that number is, again,
614-989-4846.
Awesome.
Sweet.
Emily, thank you for taking time in your very busy schedule to come tell your story. We're just scratching the surface. I am already excited for the next time we do a follow-up on this.
Same.
Man, we talked about the really important stuff today, which is you and your journey and your growth. And I couldn't be happier. Keep doing the thing. Like, you're killing it for you, which is the primary thing, but inspiring others too.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you, thank you.
Hey, really real quick while we're on here, I always forget to do this too, but like the most important thing that I can bring to the table today is to tell you that first of all, if you're listening to this and anything that Lowe is saying resonates with you and you'd like to just confide in her or connect with her, you know how to do it. And if you are listening to this and you're like, man, I need a change and I need to take the leap. And I know it probably starts with getting up off the couch and moving my body. I just invite you in to have a conversation with my team. It's free and it's the best thing we can do. It's the first step is just listening to how we can help you best. And we will give you the absolute best recommendation for how we can bring that goal that you have to life. And we'll actually give you a few options to fit everything that you've got, budget, schedule. Like we're here to help. So you can do that at CrossFitVeneration.com or in the show notes. And in the meantime, everybody stay safe, keep moving. We'll catch you later.